My name is David McFarland. I was a cinematographer on 12 Mighty Orphans. It's kind of an epic story biopic on a football coach in Texas in the 1930s. He ends up working at an orphanage and takes this group of underprivileged kids to the state championships, kind of against all odds. So it's a really inspiring story. It's an epic film. That sort of dictated a style we were going to adhere to, which meant we were going to shoot multiple cameras. In terms of the look and feel, that's something we sort of arrived on together once we got in Texas where we filmed it. The film takes place in the Dust Bowl era, in the Great Depression. So right there we knew that our color palette was going to try and emulate a feeling of depletion. It's a colorful film, but we tried to have a certain cinema language within the choices we were making based on the time of history. To kind of build our cinema language and to sort of back up the emotional content of the story photographically, we ultimately decided to shoot anamorphic. And we did extensive lens tests. We tested all of the Panavision arsenal. I love all the subtle differences between the G's and the T's and the C's and the E's. We ended up pulling together what I would call a very punk rock sort of assortment of lenses, consisting of mainly of all vintage glass. You know, the vintage coatings were really nice on skin tone, so I didn't really need to use any softening. It was less about the actual instrument I was using, but more about creating a space for the actor's performance to happen. In an effort to keep as much film equipment off the set as possible, it was often, you know, lights on condors coming through windows, negative fill wherever I could put it, and then trying to walk in smaller instruments close if I could. I've worked with Panavision throughout my career, and I've been really fortunate that I kind of saddled up with them early on. Early in my career, I did a small movie that worked out of Panavision Dallas. For this film, we filmed outside of Dallas as well, and so I was able to kind of go back to a long relationship I have with Panavision Dallas, specifically with James Finn, and he was instrumental for me. We had to cast a pretty large, wide net to land on what ultimately became our very weird set of vintage anamorphics. There's a lot of characters rising up and finding strength where they didn't know they had it. A main goal of mine was to make sure the audience is connecting with this all the time.